If your tire pressure light comes on and refuses to turn off even after you've aired up the tires properly, there's a good chance you're dealing with an issue that a shop might charge you $100 per wheel to fix. What many drivers don't know is that the problem often comes from a tiny battery inside the TPMS sensor, something you can diagnose and replace at home for a fraction of the cost. In this video, you'll learn how to identify which sensor is failing, how to replace it, and how to reprogram the system without spending $300 on a professional TPMS tool. If you follow the steps correctly, you can save a lot of money and fix the TPMS issue right in your driveway. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the latest videos. One, money-saving tricks when you don't have a TPMS tool. Many drivers give up on fixing a TPMS light because they've heard they need to buy an expensive programming tool that costs a few $100s. But in real-world auto repair, you actually have several budget-friendly options that still get the job done properly. First, check whether a friend, neighbor, or coworker already owns a TPMS tool. This is the kind of device you only use a few times in a car's entire lifetime, so many people are willing to lend it. This helps you avoid a big upfront purchase while still being able to diagnose your sensors. If you can't find one to borrow, you can take your car to a local repair shop and ask if they'll handle the programming after you replace the sensor yourself. The programming step only takes a few minutes, and many shops will do it for a much lower price compared to doing the entire job from start to finish. You still handle the main work yourself and only pay for the part you actually need. Another option is to look for a used TPMS tool. In online groups and secondhand tool marketplaces, working units are often sold at very reasonable prices. After you're done using it, you can sell it again, essentially recovering most of your investment. And if you want to maintain your vehicle long-term, the affordable TPMS tools on the market today are more than enough for basic needs: scanning sensors, triggering new ones, and programming them to your car. As long as you choose a compatible model, you can use it for your own vehicle and even help family or friends when needed. 2. Check tire pressure correctly before diagnosing sensors. Before assuming a sensor failure or dead battery, the most important step, one many drivers skip, is simply rechecking the tire pressure. It sounds basic, but in reality, a lot of TPMS lights come on because a tire is just a few PSI low, or the pressure isn't even across all 4 tires. If you skip this step and immediately start hunting for a bad sensor, you could waste both time and money. The first thing you need is an accurate pressure gauge. Public air pumps often display readings that are off by a few PSI, especially during hot weather, or when used repeatedly throughout the day. Even a small error is enough to make the TPMS think a tire has a problem. That's why it's best to keep your own gauge in the car so you can check each tire whenever the warning light appears. Once you get correct readings, set the pressure to the vehicle's recommended level. This number is not printed on the tire. It's usually on a sticker inside the driver's side door jamb or on the fuel door. Some vehicles even show the recommended pressure in the center screen menu based on load. Setting the correct pressure gives the TPMS an accurate baseline to work with. After bringing the tires to spec, the next step is resetting the system. Each car does this differently. Some have a reset option in the settings menu. Others have a dedicated TPMS button. Resetting allows the car to record the current pressure as normal, and if something changes later, the warning light will come back on. In many cases, simply doing this step correctly will turn the TPMS light off without needing any further work. The key is to rule out incorrect pressure before diagnosing a faulty sensor. If the pressure isn't right and you jump ahead to removing wheels, checking sensors, or even replacing them, that effort goes to waste. When the TPMS system is working from the correct baseline, every diagnostic step afterward becomes more accurate, and you avoid unnecessary risks and expenses. 3 ways to identify a faulty sensor. When the TPMS light refuses to turn off even after you've verified the tire pressures, the next step is figuring out which sensor is failing. This is the part most drivers find the most uncertain, because the system doesn't always show a simple error message and sometimes won't tell you which wheel has the issue. But in reality, you have 3 fairly easy ways to pinpoint the bad sensor, depending on your car's tech level and the tools you have available. The simplest method is checking whether your vehicle supports direct fault display. Many newer models will tell you the exact location: front right wheel, rear left wheel, or even the sensor ID. If your vehicle has this feature, identifying the faulty sensor takes just a few seconds with no extra equipment needed. If your car doesn't provide clear information, you can use an OBD2 scanner. Many popular scanners today can access TPMS data in addition to reading engine codes. Once connected, the scanner will return a fault code for the sensor that's lost signal, such as sensor number 3 or right rear wheel not responding. This is the method many mechanics use because it's easy to operate and highly reliable. If you want to check each sensor precisely, a dedicated TPMS scan tool is the most direct option. Simply place the tool near the valve stem and activate the scan. A healthy sensor will respond immediately with PSI data and battery status. If the tool doesn't pick up a signal, that sensor likely has a dead battery or has stopped functioning entirely. This method gives the clearest results, but requires a compatible scanner. The important thing is not to guess based on intuition. Accurately identifying the faulty wheels saves time, prevents you from removing the wrong tire, and avoids replacing a sensor that still works. Once you know exactly which sensor is bad, the remaining steps, removing the tire, replacing the sensor, and reprogramming the system, become much faster and easier. Take 3 seconds to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss the newest videos. 4. Scanning each wheel to find the dead sensor. Once you've confirmed the TPMS issue isn't caused by incorrect tire pressure, the next step is scanning each wheel to see which sensor has gone silent. This is the most important part, because only one sensor may be bad, but the system lights up the entire warning. If you don't check correctly, you might remove the wrong wheel or replace a perfectly good sensor. To scan, you'll need a TPMS scanner, either a dedicated professional tool or a more affordable model. Using it is very simple. Place the scanner head right next to the valve stem and press the activate button. A healthy sensor will respond almost instantly. The tool will show the current pressure, battery status, sensor ID, and sometimes even tire temperature. A normal sensor always sends clear, consistent signals. When the tool doesn't receive a signal, that's almost a guaranteed indication that the sensor's battery is dead or the sensor has completely stopped working. Sometimes the scanner will try to connect for a few seconds before alerting you. You'll notice it shows no data at all, meaning that wheel is the one that needs a new sensor. Scanning each wheel also helps rule out random or temporary issues. For example, a sensor responding slowly because the car is parked in a weak signal spot or because the signal is being blocked by metal objects. If a sensor consistently sends weak or intermittent signals, that's also a sign it's failing and should be replaced before it completely dies. 5. Removing the tire to access the sensor. Once you've identified which wheel has the dead TPMS sensor, the next step is gaining access to it. The sensor sits behind the valve stem, so you can't see it or touch it without separating the tire bead from the rim. It sounds complicated, but when done correctly, this is a task many drivers can absolutely handle at home. First, you'll need to remove the wheel from the vehicle. This gives you enough room to work and prevents damaging the tire bead or the rim surface. After taking the wheel off, deflate the tire completely. With no air pressure inside, the tire bead becomes much softer and easier to separate from the rim. The most important step is breaking the bead, pushing the tire's edge off the rim. You can use a pry bar or even a tool that applies downward pressure to push the bead away. The key is to apply force close to the rim edge and avoid slipping onto the metal surface, which could scratch or damage the rim. Once the bead breaks loose slightly, you'll see the TPMS sensor right behind the valve stem, usually secured with a small nut or built into the valve depending on the design. At this stage, being slow and steady is critical. You don't need to remove the entire tire from the rim. You only need to open just enough of the bead to expose the sensor. This makes the job faster and reduces the risk of damaging the tire. When the sensor becomes visible, you can remove the nut or pull the valve through, depending on the type of sensor your car uses. 6. Installing the new sensor. Once the old sensor is removed, it's time to install the new TPMS sensor at the valve stem location. This step requires more care than mechanical skill. Over-tightening or misaligning the sensor can cause air leaks or shorten its lifespan. But when done properly, replacing the sensor is a straightforward job you can easily do at home. Many aftermarket sensors today are designed to be more convenient than the original equipment versions. Some models separate the sensor body from the valve stem, making installation easier. Others use a rubber valve stem that doesn't require a retaining nut like older sensors. You simply pull the rubber valve through the rim. To help the rubber slide through the rim hole without tearing, you'll need a small amount of lubricant, such as soapy water or a light spray of WD-40. When pulling the valve through, make sure the sensor stays properly aligned. If you need extra force and have to use pliers, grip the valve stem only. Never clamp onto the sensor body, as squeezing it can damage the internal circuitry. Once pulled fully through, the valve will lock itself into place and sit firmly in the rim. For sensors that use a retaining nut, simply reinstall it in the correct direction, position the sensor in its slot, and tighten the nut lightly. Over-tightening can crack the valve surface or bend the rim, so only snug it enough to prevent air leaks. After the sensor is seated properly, check again to make sure it's straight, not rotated, and not sitting in a way that interferes with the tire bead. This small detail is important. If the sensor sits at the wrong angle, the tire can hit it at high speed or when the tire expands as it heats up. Once the new sensor is in place, you can reseat the tire bead onto the rim and prepare to inflate the tire again. 11. Programming the new sensor. After the new sensor has been installed, the next crucial step is making sure the car recognizes it. This is the part many drivers have heard about but don't fully understand. Why do you need to program it? The reason is simple. Every TPMS sensor has its own unique ID. When you install a new sensor, the car is still looking for the old ID, so the TPMS light will stay on until you teach the vehicle to recognize the new one. The programming process varies depending on the TPMS tool you're using, but the basic steps are the same. Put the car into sensor learn mode and then trigger each sensor with the scan tool. Most modern tools come with a vehicle list, so you can select the exact make and model. Once selected, the tool automatically loads the correct configuration. When the car enters learn mode, you'll walk around the vehicle and scan each wheel in the order the tool instructs. At each wheel, hold the scanner near the valve stem and wait for the response. If the sensor is functioning properly, the tool will confirm that the new ID has been stored. Continue until all 4 wheels are registered. Many drivers worry that programming requires expensive dealership equipment, but in reality, even off-brand budget TPMS tools can handle this job just fine. What matters most is choosing a tool that's compatible with the sensor you bought, since some tools only support sensors from the same brand. After completing the process, simply start the car and drive for a few minutes to let the system sync. If everything is correct, the TPMS light will turn off immediately or within a short distance. That's the sign that the new sensor has been added to the list and the TPMS system is fully operational again. Programming a sensor may sound complicated, but once you understand the steps, you'll realize it's just the final piece to help the system properly identify the new sensor. And more importantly, you've saved a significant amount of money compared to having a shop do the entire job. 8. Start the car, check the TPMS light. Once the new sensor has been programmed, it's time to verify everything actually synced. This may sound simple, but it's the most important indicator of whether you followed the procedure correctly. First, reinstall the wheel, torque the lug nuts properly, and inflate the tire to the recommended pressure. Once the car is settled, get inside the cabin and start the engine. If the programming was successful, in most cases, the TPMS light will turn off immediately. It's a very satisfying moment because you know you solved the exact problem, no unnecessary replacements, no guessing. On some vehicles, the system needs a few minutes of driving to fully update. Don't worry if the light doesn't turn off right at startup. Take the car for a short drive, usually just a few hundred yards, and the system will verify the new sensor signal and clear the warning. But if you drive for more than 5 minutes and the light is still on, that's when you need to double check a few things. Did you program the correct type of sensor? Did the TPMS tool actually store the new ID? And did you replace the correct wheel based on the original fault? Another important detail is observing whether the TPMS light is solid or blinking. If it blinks for a few seconds and then stays solid, that means the car attempted to connect to a sensor but couldn't find the correct ID. If the light comes on solid immediately without blinking, the system likely hasn't detected any new sensor at all. These small signals help you understand how the car is responding instead of repeating the entire process blindly. Once the TPMS light finally turns off, you can be confident the system is stable. Not only have you fixed the issue, but you also better understand how the TPMS system works. Handling TPMS issues yourself may sound intimidating, but once you understand the process, you'll see it's simply a series of basic steps that are well within reach. You save a significant amount of money compared to taking the car to a shop, and you become much more proactive in maintaining your vehicle whenever a warning light appears. Knowing how to diagnose, replace, and program sensors properly will help your car run safely and smoothly and avoid unnecessary repair costs later. Did this video help you? Subscribe to help us reach 30,000 subscribers.